Hi everyone. Today we'll be talking about an outline of the research proposal that the project that I plan on doing in the subject. The topic that I've chosen is how terrorism has changed over a period of time. So the period that I'm taking is of 10 years and the data pertaining to it. I'll just walk you through the outline, a basic outline, a template of the project that I plan on doing. So how terrorism has changed, I would be doing it using ArcGIS and a little bit of Python. So terrorism is a huge issue worldwide, as we all know. We might think that terrorism is a fairly new issue, but in reality it has existed for about 2000 years in one way or the other. It is considered as a deliberate attempt to hurt people at random to convey their messages across. Terrorism can be defined as a threatened or an actual use of illegal force and violence by a non-state actor to attain a political, economic, religious, or social goal through fear, coercion, or intimidation. The main question that we should be asking is, will terrorism ever end? Sadly, that might not be the case because there are a lot of agendas that people want to convey, and there are many ways of doing that. They can do it without anyone stopping them. Our main objective of the project is to analyze how the terrorism has changed. So any data available on a global database or any database for the past 10 years would be an ideal data set for us. The Global Terrorism Database, GTD, which is an open database, has data from 1970 to 2017, comprising of both domestic and international terrorist incidents. We would be focusing the data on India as well as an overview of global dynamics worldwide. The data present on websites about terrorism and the maps present on ArcGIS or the Esri website related to the terrorism in India or global, showing attacks and location or any other information that would be useful for analyzing or plotting would be considered a very good data set for us. Utilizing that data, any data, and the data that we have received, we would be utilizing that data to relate to personal freedom and to check how terrorism has affected a personal freedom score or the personal freedom. So what can we analyze with that data? I've chosen a few points that I would majorly focusing on. So where has the most terrorist attack occurred in in a country or globally? Which regions have been targeted, and are there any possible factors and like as to why are they being targeted? Can we focus on those factors or not? Are there any trends that we can make out from the data, and using either cluster analysis, or can we divide the data in segments for analyzing, in segments or in clusters for analyzing them? Is there any global annual dynamics to the map? And if yes, so can we find that out? We can compare the successful and unsuccessful attacks and what were the type of attacks, like what kind of artillery was used in those attacks and where have they been focused on, what kind of sectors have they been focused on, and how the sectors have fared over that period of time, how that terrorism has affected the person's freedom, and can we analyze it by any value. The previous works, I've read couple of papers in for our project. So there's a paper update on geospatial patterns of antecedent behavior among perpetrators in American Terrorism Study (ATS). So what they have been doing is the database, which consists of the data, have been adding different units to it, like court cases, characteristics of indictees, incidents and planned incidences, or and antecedent activities, and the paper focuses on those different units, and they analyze to examine the geospatial patterns in terrorist behavior and if the pattern has changed significantly over the period of time. Then there was another paper which discusses about terrorism before and after the 9/11, and is the world a more dangerous place to live in. So they analyzed the data on domestic and transnational incidences from 1990 to 2014, and they came out with some conclusions which said that countries where the Muslim population experienced, where and countries with Muslim population experienced less domestic terrorism prior to 2001, and since 9/11 they have experienced an increased in both domestic and international terrorism. They the paper they used, the method that they used was a negative binomial model as compared to the traditional Poisson model. And since we would be using the project on an ArcGIS tool by Esri, so I have also referenced it to a story map, which is based on, the story map is based on the terrorist attacks in America, which is present on Esri website. It's a draft map where they have analyzed different regions, and they have concluded the biggest region that is susceptible to the target of being a target in US. And I'm pretty sure there are different story maps available pertaining to different countries as well. There has been an unpublished report which titled Pre-Incident Indicators of Terrorist Incidents, and where they have studied and identified the behavioral, geographic, and temporal patterns of preparatory conduct, and based on that they have concluded how terrorism has changed, and how can we study it and how we can proceed from there. Possible method adaptations that I plan on using in the project is, I would be using Python for exploring the data and for any pre-processing that it's required. So pre-processing would be if the data would require any cleaning or any other preeminently any pre-processing of that data is I would be doing that using Python. As we all know, we can also visualize the data in different ways possible for better understanding, and we can use Python for it. So there are different packages available. We can use Seaborn, Matplotlib, Basemap packages in Python. So we can also visualize the same data using Python, and we can compare it with the ArcGIS. I would be implementing the main implementation would be in the ArcGIS software for an activated map, and where we would be using projected spreads, and we would be using geoprocessing tools for analyzing in ArcGIS. So some of the tools that I plan on using is spatial autocorrelation, which measures the similarity between nearby observations by detecting dependence or autocorrelation. Since and also since we would be having more than one data set, I would be using a spatial join, which would be used for affixing the data from one feature table to another spatial perspective, so that we can combine the different data sets based on a single attribute in the table. We can also use a summary statistic tools or a descriptive statistic tools, and visualize it using charts like histogram, QQ plots, standard distance tool. And the topics that we have covered in the course, like hotspot analysis for mapping the clusters, can also be used. I wanted to work with raster statistics also, like focal statistic or line statistic. So a couple of output that I am anticipating from the project is a global terrorist attack graph, which would showcase how many terrorist attacks have happened over the world. And since we would also be focusing on India as well, so a more in-depth map of India with the different types of terror. Then also we would also be visualizing the successful or the unsuccessful terrorist strike rate, and comparing the same and mapping the same on the ArcGIS tool on the world map, and we can analyze that, and we can derive that from it. And these are only a couple of outputs that I anticipate. Another output that I anticipate is the personal freedom score, which would be after, which would also be an output for the project. And this is the citation of the paperwork that I have referenced and the works that they have already been done. Thank you.